Testing. Testing. All right, guys. Trying to go live a little earlier today. We're going to give this one a shot. Last time, probably like the last 3 times actually, my phone died in the middle of the live stream. So what we're going to do today, we're actually going to be finishing up these drawer bonnets. I already have the drawer fronts built. They're over there on the bench. We have 2 more that we need to build. But before I can actually build those, I need to actually laminate some 1/4-inch plywood to make the shelves. So first thing I'm going to do is actually break down some plywood over here on the table saw. I want to get that laminated and glued up. Let me move the camera back some. So the first thing I'm going to do is break down some 1/4-inch plywood. We're going to laminate and glue that up, and then we're going to actually mount all the drawer fronts on the drawer bonnets. I just wanted this already to be kind of gluing up while I'm mounting all the drawer fronts. That way everything's dry, so I don't have to wait on anything. And again, this is coming from the need of the drawers or the shelves for the actual drawer bonnet units. I'm pretty low on 3/4-inch plywood. I do have some more, but I have a custom fence that I want to build for the table saw. So instead of using that plywood, I'm going to take this 1/4-inch plywood and laminate it to 3/4 so it's sturdy enough for me to mount into. We'll see how it works. I never actually laminated plywood. Well, actually, no. I have laminated plywood, so it should be just fine. And we need these to be roughly, I think, 12 inches. This is 23 1/4, so we're just going to go like 11 1/2. We'll be fine. Alright, what our goal is to achieve a 1/4-inch thick, 3/4-inch thick piece of plywood. So we're going to laminate it like so. I'm going to trim some of this excess off. And then after this dried up, we'll trim it to our final size, and these will end up making 2 shelves for our drawer bonnet units. This plywood is actually a 1/4-inch thick. These are a little under, but roughly it'll be a 3/4-inch piece of plywood once it's laminated and glued together. For the other one, I have 1 piece of 1/4-inch ply, and then this piece. So I'll probably do alternating layers. I'll probably cut this into a bunch of shorter pieces and have this alternating on the inside. Probably what we'll do. We'll go over to the miter saw. And I did 11.5. Is this enough or do I need more? Oh, I'll cut one more. That'll do. Alright, so before we start installing our drawerbinet units, or our drawer fronts for our drawerbinet units, I want to actually, let's move the camera over here to this side. Probably the best way. Yep. So what we're going to do is actually laminate these pieces. And what I'm going to do first actually is cut all these to rough length. So I'm not dealing with a bunch of extra material. And I'll run this through the table saw so it's the same width. And then for these, stack those up nice and tight. I'll probably cut it up here. And then I'll just cut that one right there. Alright, so we're going to make a couple more cuts. I'm going to cut all these panels to be roughly the same length as those. I'm going to cut this one more time. So that way when I alternate the grain for the glue up, it's roughly about the same width as that, same length as the actual panel. And then I'm going to rip both of these to that same 11.5 inches. So let's go ahead and cut all of those. We'll get this set up in clamps, or I'll show you guys how I'm going to glue this up. And then we can actually go ahead and install all of our drawer fronts on our drawerbinet units. They've called me twice. What number is that? Alright, I'll have to call and deal with that in a second. All right, back to what we were doing. So let me rip these two pieces. Ugh. We're gonna rip these to 11.5. All right, now back over to the miter saw to make these cuts, and then we can go ahead and glue all this up. Where did I make? It wasn't on this, it was on those. All right. Now, I don't have a vacuum bag or anything to do this glue up. So what I'm going to use is the good old-fashioned put something heavy on it method that always works just fine for me. So I have a couple boxes of LVP flooring in the shop that will do just fine. Yeah, see, this one's going to be this, and then a bunch of layers. And if you guys don't already know, plywood is already actually layered. The granite actually alternates. You typically have the veneer layer, which is running long ways, and then you have a bunch of plywood layers that run this way, and then the exterior veneer layer goes this way. Thicker plywood alternates more often. So I'm just making more plywood. Except not under the same pressure / conditions. But if I have to, I'll throw a couple staples in it. I think that would do. Let me grab the glue, which will be Type Bond 3. And I'll probably just grab a business card or something to spread this with. Oh, this might work just fine too. Probably should actually have the heat on in the shop. It is starting to get fairly cold out here. I will say that's also why I do like having the drawer binets, so I can get my glue up high, which is where all the heat in the shop does go, up toward the ceiling. So it's nice to have those. My glue typically will be on the cabinet in the drawer on the floor. That's good. Plop one piece right there. And again, I have no other use for 1/4-inch plywood, so this is we'll see how it works out. Only time I've ever laminated plywood is when I mill up maybe like some 1/2-inch plywood to do like curved jams or something. And typically that's like inside of a form. But I mean, wood glue works. So I wouldn't see why this wouldn't. The important thing is to make sure you get glue all the way to the edges and not all over the floor. Just gonna stick that there for right now. And then drop that on top. And then LVP flooring is plenty heavy. I think that will do just fine for clamps. About to grab another box probably. And then we'll do the other piece on top. And then we'll let that sit for a little bit and we'll install the actual drawer fronts on those drawer binet units in the back. That'll glue up just fine. And then we can do this one. All right, that will do. I can throw this away. And then I'll move this over there. Just so I'm not oozing a bunch of glue on this LVP right here. And then I'll put a bunch of weight on it over there. Ouch. Hey, how you doing there, boss man? Glad that you can join. We're making a couple plywood sandwiches. Running low on 3/4 inch plywood, so I'm making do with a bunch of 1/4 inch scrap that I would typically toss. Using some LVP as giant clamps, or my temporary vacuum bags right now. Figure they weigh enough. Drop one on this side. Make sure they're still nice and flush. And also, these are larger than what I actually need. So if any of the edges aren't perfectly laminated, I'm still trimming up those afterwards. But they'll give me 3/4 inch plywood that I can use for the drawer binet build. And again, 1/4 inch plywood I have no other purpose for really inside of my shop, let alone those small pieces. All right, we'll let that sit there and dry. And now we can actually continue on what we have started multiple times, and each time either my phone has died or something has happened. We have these three that we still need to put drawer fronts on. I think last time we got to mounting these two, started this one, and then my phone died. These just need drawer fronts, which we're about to install. They're already made over there on the other bench. But for those of you who haven't seen them and don't know what these are drawer binet units. Lincoln Street Woodworks kind of came up with the idea. First person on YouTube I've seen do them. And I kind of just took the idea and ran with it and made a bunch of them out of 1/2 inch OSB. Haven't really decided on how I'm going to organize a lot of these yet. I'm kind of just winging it as I go. Oh yeah. Those panels are getting cut down. Those are just, I ran out 3/4 inch plywood, which is what I was using for all the shelves and all these drawer binet units. But I don't have any more 3/4 inch plywood. So again, this whole entire build and most of the stuff inside of my shop, I love to use scraps and kind of repurpose it. So I recently hung the ceiling and the walls in the shop, and I had a bunch of 1/2 inch OSB left over and couldn't find a purpose for it. Can't really do too many woodworking projects with 1/2 inch OSB. So I decided to build these upper cabinets. But when I built the cabinets, OSB is ugly. Lincoln Street Woodworks did drawer binets, which are pretty much just drawers and upper cabinets, which gives you the ability to reach stuff that you typically can't. You guys saw on this one, I think this one holds all my blades. So I can grab my saw blades, but on this side, I have like rolls of tape. So, I can kind of decide on how any of these units kind of lay out and get access to them from down here on the ground. And the units themselves completely hide the OSB. So you don't really see these cabinets are made of OSB once you actually do the drawer binet unit. And then the drawer faces themselves, I think this one's on camera, they look pretty nice. These are made up of scrap mahogany pieces. We actually have 2 more doors to build, and this right here is what I'm using to build my last 2 doors. Just some leftover mahogany rips. These are going to make up the face frames for the last 2 doors. And then some leftover 1/4 inch plywood as well. So I'm going to also do it. If I didn't use it all. I do still have the other piece over there. Yeah, we're still good. Yeah. So yeah, more or less, this whole entire build is just me reusing as much stuff as possible. Yeah, trying to pretty much repurpose everything. So we're at the point where we can finally. Oh, also, yeah. So the drawer bits completely half-inch OSB, but then the next thing that I did was John Heights over on YouTube. He did full extension wooden drawer slides. So none of these have metal drawer slides on them. Let's probably move the camera a little bit closer. All these are wooden drawer slides. If I tilt it up. These are full extension wooden drawer slides. So again, they can pull out the full depth of the cabinet. But all made out of wood. So if you didn't want to buy metal drawer slides, you do have the option to make them. I've made a couple of them. Pretty simple design. Wasn't too hard to do. Just need a router table and a little patience, some sandpaper. But they're also completely interchangeable with standard half-inch drawer slides. So if you ever want to change these out for the metal ones that you can buy, you know, you just swap them out because they're the same dimensions. Your drawer boxes are the same dimensions. But all right, let me slide the camera back, and what we're going to do now is start installing these drawer fronts. And then by then, hopefully that glue is dried. And then I have a couple business phone calls to make. So I'll probably just get all these drawer fronts on. We might start building these two side units here, maybe. Actually, we need to go back to the bench because I need to I'll do it over here. A little bit of space and bring all the doors up here. So what we need to do and how I've been installing these doors. Well done. Reusing, thinking through. Yeah, my whole goal and pretty much 95% of my shop is trying to be creative, use scraps in the best way possible. I hate throwing stuff away. I'm pretty sure most woodworkers say that, but I'm really bad. Like I really hate tossing stuff. So if I can find a secondary purpose for it, you better believe I can and probably will. So these are the drawer fronts. Again, leftover mahogany, 1/4-inch plywood on the back. They're pocket screwed together. And the next step is to find a way to mount this centered and in the right place. What I've been doing is driving some 1-inch cabinet head screws from the back side and then catching into the 1/2-inch face frames. But to get everything positioned properly, I need to actually grab my not my combo square, but my Craig jig over here. And I can't remember. I think with these, I had sized these to be 11.5. The inside box is 11, so they're 1/4-inch pass on each side. And these are a 1/2-inch smaller, so 3/4 is where it needs to hang past on the side, and it'll be a 1/2-inch on the bottom. So I can take this and mark 3/4 on the side. And I'll probably go ahead and do it for all three of these so I don't have to reset the gauge. And double check. Perfect. Let's actually do it in 3 places. Essentially what it's going to allow me to do is when I have the drawer pulled out, I can kind of clamp this into place and then drive my screws from the back side. Set that over there. What I do need to do though is mark from the bottom. From the bottom, it should be 1/2 inch. Because when I built each one of these boxes, and when I installed them, these are a 1/4 inch spacer. They're spaced a 1/4 inch off the bottom, so 1/4 inch plus a 1/4 inch overlap is a 1/2 inch. So 1/2 inch from the bottom, 3/4 to 13/16, I think is what it actually ends up being off the side. And then I've been thinking about handles. I think I have one in mind that I want to use for these. I just haven't found the wood that I want to use. I have a piece of beech laying around here, but I might have enough mahogany scraps to make them all out of mahogany. Beech is almost like a red oak color. It kind of is pretty close to mahogany, so I think it'll accent it nicely. It's just debating on if I want to go with something different than mahogany. I have bigger pieces of mahogany behind me. Just don't know if I want to use them to make handles. And then a 1/2 inch from the bottom. Beautiful. I'll grab these clamps. See, the impact is right there. I'm going to use this ladder that everybody tells me I shouldn't. But only for a little bit. I'm trying to get up here on the bench where it's nice and safe. And then all I need to do is line up all of my lines with the edge of the cabinet. And then get one clamp on. Which is easier said than done. This is just going to be in general. I'm probably going to have to tweak it some more. That. That is pretty darn close. It's actually good down here at the bottom, so I'm going to throw one screw in down here, and then I can pivot it. Hey, that screw is bad. Now I can undo that clamp. Rotate the top over just a smidge. And that is where we want it. A little awkward. Probably not the smoothest or prettiest execution you guys have ever seen. There we go. All right, and yet another one done. Again, a little awkward, not the smoothest. But now we have 4 on this side. We have 2 more doors to put up over here on this side. And then we have to build our 2 center units. Oh, I'm missing what you were saying. I'm sorry, boss. Let me take a look. Huh. Yes, I do know the painter from the 90s. Hey, I greatly appreciate it, boss man. Again, this is like my 6th, maybe 7th live stream. I figured, probably a little, when I'm terrible at technology, so I'm like very bad at editing. So I have a lot of content, but like my videos aren't the best. And I figured if I do more live streams, one, my people who are watching me can actually get to know me a little bit better. And I've already filmed all the content I need for this. So those videos are going to be coming out later. So I figured instead of just doing these last, 8 units, let me, go live and kind of show people how I do it. Because I think also YouTube content is slightly behind my TikTok and Instagram. So like my short content is going on Instagram and TikTok, and that is further ahead than where I am on YouTube, because YouTube gets all my long form content. So like I'm a little further behind. So I figured you guys wouldn't be seeing this on YouTube for probably like another 2 months. So I figured go live, let everybody on YouTube see it. And if people are on TikTok and Instagram come over to YouTube, they get to see it a little bit early. Kind of trying to balance how I create content, trying to be a better content creator in general. Not really my forte, but I'm getting better at it. Again, my specialty is nails and wood, not so much content creation, but I'm learning. I'm learning. So we have two more doors to put on. These are going to be a little bit more awkward because I won't have a whole bench to stand on. I do need to mark the 1/2 inch bottom piece. I'll mark the 1/2 inch mark down at the bottom. Then we'll clamp this one on, get this one installed. I can stand on my jointer. I do have my jointer mobile base locked in place, so I'm not worried about that like sliding around. So that gives me a little bit of reprieve. Let's see, get the screws up there. Slap that right there. I wish I had shorter clamps. I don't have any 5 or 6 inch quick clamps because these stick way out into my face, which makes it a little bit more awkward. I probably could use double-sided tape, but I don't think it'll hold. Slide over just a bit. Oh, that's it right there. All right, that one wasn't too bad actually. Whew. All right, now I gotta go up. No. Oh, that's always the worst. There goes another one. Beautiful. All right. One more, and then I can check these panels I just put and glue up. Thank you. I greatly appreciate it. Definitely gonna transform this little wall / bank of cabinets over here real nicely. It's gonna be a nice transformation. Again, using a bunch of scraps, I think this is gonna be awesome. And then I need to get creative on what I'm actually going to store up here. I did do the one that has the blade holder and all the tape. This one has my dado set. Just kind of stowed up here. So that's one thing, but I can add dividers or organizers. I might do one that holds a bunch of spray cans, probably. Get a bunch of PVC and cut and glue those to a piece of plywood going this way. I can stow a bunch of cans of spray paint. I'll probably do that for one of these, but I have 10 different cabinets. I don't really have an idea for each one of them. Not as of yet. Creativity will probably give me some more inspiration as far as those. Alright, so after I install that, let's see, we've been streaming for 50 minutes. I don't know when I put those other ones up under the LVP. They need at least 40 minutes to an hour before I remove them. I might cut the stream for a little bit. After we get this one installed, let that dry up. I got a few phone calls to make. And then I'll probably go live again. We'll probably assemble all those. And then I'll move on to doing handles for all of these. Because by then, all the units will be installed. Well, no, what we'll probably do is probably finish this, mill up all the wood to make the other two doors. Because I don't need the table saw for that. And then we'll probably end the stream once the door material is ready. Probably work out that way. All right, let's get this last one clamped and installed. It's also easier if I'm kind of like more off to the side than directly in front of it. All right, that one actually went up easier than the other ones. Call myself lucky. Whew. And just like that, and they all line up pretty darn good too, if I say so myself. Oh, let me put this back. Yeah, I think that went in pretty good. It will fill up eventually. Yeah, that's definitely the thing. I need to get onto the organization of each one of these units. But I think overall, I think that's a nice dress up of that space over there. Good use of scrap mahogany, good use of scrap OSB and 1/4 inch plywood that sort of like drawer bottoms and stuff I have no real purpose for. And if I'm ever doing a cabinet build for a client, I grab more 1/4 inch plywood. And these accent the first cabinets we did up here up front. If you haven't been part of the channel for long, these were the very first things I built inside of the shop. This pretty much organized all of my dad's stuff. He's a Falcons fan, so we went black lacquer with red cedar handles. And now these back here, being probably the last bank of cabinets in the shop, will match these ones up here. Comes full circle, I think. So, for these last two units, The plywood for the shelves are currently up under all this LVP, waiting to dry. Don't think it'll be dry yet. Again, we've been streaming for about 58 minutes, almost an hour. Don't know. It took me a couple minutes to actually get these organized and set up, so. Yeah, I'm gonna let these sit a little bit longer. But what I probably will do is if I stack it all over there on that side. To still use the table saw. I think at this point, I'm pretty sure I'm not going to glue them. Oh, no, there's some glue right there. Don't want to stack them directly on top of each other. Don't I have some FRP somewhere? This will do fine enough. Thank you. This shop has been I think right about now, a total of 2 years. 2 years in the making. This is my dad's garage, and I've been kind of adding stuff over the years. Sorry if I'm a little distracted. I'm trying to find something else to evenly disperse the weight. I got a bigger piece of styrofoam now, do it better. But yeah, I've been kind of adding stuff, changing stuff over the years. And we'll just slide this down this way some so it's not in the way. Put that on top of it. Get those directly on top of each other. Bring that way on down here. And we'll stack the weight back on it. And now I should be able to still use the table saw. For the most part anyway. And that amalgamation should be out of my way for a little bit. Definitely, that's where I started out at. My very first shop was a all-in-one bench that I pulled out of, not a shed, but our old house had a garage that was converted into like a den area. So we actually, I used to pull it out of there. And yes, it's definitely getting cold. It's cold in here now. That's actually why I'm wearing boots, because it's freezing. But yeah, I definitely, that's where I started out at. And then I got a box truck. I converted my box truck into my shop. And then this has been my dad's garage since I was like 2 years old. He's a mechanic by trade, but pretty much had every tool you can think of throughout the shop. So we kind of organized it so I can kind of make use of the space a little bit better. So all of his stuff is stored into this bank of cabinets, all of his car tools, his wrenches, You know, we have it separated from metric, standard, etc. Pulley wrenches, just car stuff is all organized over there. He originally had a car lift right here on the floor. You got the car lift outside that allowed me to build these two benches. These are both Park style benches. So I made a few adjustments. Like this bench can expand and get longer as I needed to. And then I put them both on a jack. So these benches actually can raise and lower. They can actually meet any of my benches or tools inside of the shop. So they work pretty good for in-feed and out-feed. And then the one up front is really small, so it can fit down all the alleys in the shop. It kind of allowed me to service any of the tools in here or bring wood from the front to the back. Oh, I'm assuming you two are new. I don't think you guys have seen some of the other stuff inside the shop, so I'll do a quick little walk around. Drill press cabinet. I added drawers and stuff to it when I built the table. The awesome thing is that cabinet down at the bottom, if you undo the toggle clamps, the whole entire cabinet can pull off of it. So I can actually lower the table for the drill press even further if I need to drill something really wide. My bandsaw did not come with a fence, so I built one, and that's been pretty awesome. This is a material bench slash cart. So it has cubbies and stuff down the side. It's a total 6 foot long bench, but I added dividers in there randomly. So like the top row is a full 6 foot. The next row is, I think, is like 2 foot and 4 foot. The bottom one, I think, is 3 foot and 3 foot. On the back side, this is a total 49 inches tall. So I can actually stow full sheets of plywood down through there. Well, not right now because it's in this wall. So a 4x6 sheet could fit inside of the cabinet. And then I have more storage bins hanging off the back. But I can also hang all my other stuff on top of it. It has bench dogs and stuff around the front of it, so I can actually clamp panels like plywood whenever I need to do edge banding. Can all get clamped up there. My hand tool bench. It's a combination of a couple different hand tool benches. It has the large front apron. It has the sliding dead man at the bottom. I plan to build drawers and stuff down there. Has a tool tray on the back side. It's full of a bunch of junk right now. But yeah, my shop is in Norfolk. I operate out of the 757 area. So Chesapeake, Virginia Beach, Suffolk, etc. I pretty much service that whole area. I typically do things like kitchen remodels and everything else, you know, crown molding, stairs, and things of that nature. My shop is not as justified as I would like it to be. I typically am on site doing work. So you're up in like Richmond, DC area. I'm gonna take a quick smoke break, but I'm gonna leave that as the view. I'm like 30 minutes away from North Beach. Where is North Beach at? I know where East Beach is. Yeah, see, that's probably up in Richmond somewhere. I think when I get it done from the Netherlands. You know, I've been finding a lot of the people that have been watching my channel are not from the US, which is why I'm actually surprised that you're actually local. And then, yeah, I've been getting a lot of people from like Netherlands, Ireland. It's also why I tried to stream a little different time. I typically stream a little later in the evening, but I figured, hey, if I stream earlier, I'll probably get people in different areas too. So it's partially what this stream is. Just kind of testing the waters, seeing what I can. Well, seeing one who is out there, who is actually watching live streams on YouTube, let alone woodworking live streams. My goal is again to grow the channel. I'm on the road to monetization. I have enough subscribers. I need more watch time hours. So by doing long format videos or live streams, I can get more people watching for longer periods of time, which will aid in my watch time. And once I can get monetized, then I can probably actually hire an editor or somebody to actually say, "Hey, we see that you're making great stuff. You probably should just say this. Maybe wear this shirt. You know, throw this joke." So I'm funny. It doesn't come across in most of my videos because I'm terrible at the whole editing, you know, computer stuff. So yeah, I probably want to hire a editor. It's probably something I need to do. Thinking about making this area is, now that I have these cabinets up, it's probably gonna be the standardized YouTube backdrop area. I'll probably do some French cleats. Another thing you guys can do with half-inch OSB, if you guys never thought about it, I use them for French cleats. That's what's holding up everything else on my door. Go from the best time. It's like 3 to 4 in the evening. This is just an early stream. I was trying to give this one a test shot, and I typically stream around like 5, 6 o'clock. I really appreciate it. And yeah, I typically stream around like 5, 6. And I'm not even gonna say typically, because I've only done like 7 or 8 streams at this point. I'm just thinking about like there's a lot of projects or a lot of time where I don't want to bring out the camera and actually delve into filming and moving the camera 10 or 15 different times. So those are the projects that I think I can actually do better on stream. Like I'm probably gonna end up French cleaning this whole wall. I don't need to record that video. I don't think. I've done a bunch of videos on how to do French cleats, but that's also using half-inch OSB is what I like to use for my French cleats. I thought about it. You talking about like a GoPro, like what I can wear on my head, or like one I can wear on like my apron. I thought about them, and again, currently, my whole thing is my whole YouTube journey really started off with me just trying to see if it'll work out. I have invested very little in the whole YouTube aspect of it, so like I haven't bought new cameras. I did eventually go buy a mic because my audio was pretty terrible when I first started out. But like I haven't really made too many investments, which I was planning to. Once I get monetized, all that monetization money is going to go directly toward creating better content. So getting an editor, better cameras. I haven't, I finally threw lights up inside the shop because it's been pretty dark in most of my videos. So I'm investing into the shop, but like the money that goes toward creating better content, that I want to come from the actual YouTube itself, which I'm partial of the way there. I think I'm at like quarter of the watch time hours I need. I think I have like 1,100 watch time hours, like 4,000 over the course of a year. So I just started doing long format content and just started the live stream. So like they have actually helped out greatly as far as my watch time hours. I'll probably be there about this time next year at the latest, I think. So just kind of taking my time with that. And as far as content creation, I am trying to, in my current videos, which here on YouTube, I want you guys to know, you guys are like fairly far behind as far as content. So like the better camera angles, the more dynamic camera angles, all that is in videos that is like probably like a month away from actually hitting YouTube at this moment. But like that, even like with the better lighting, there's not too many videos that has the lighting up yet. What's my email? I would say message me on, you have me on YouTube, and my email I think is on my channel. But if you go to my Instagram or Facebook, you can message me directly and I'll send you my email and contact information. My Instagram and Facebook are all under New World Carpentry, so you'll be able to find me pretty easy. I have an Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and a YouTube channel. Decided to go big and do them all. I hope you have a good day at work. What do you do for a living? You work in construction, or are you lucky enough to be a full-time woodworker? that's pretty much where I'm at right now. I do work for myself, which has been up and down. I'm debating on actually going back, and I do know a few of the contractors I used to work for hourly. I might go back and do them, and then we'll work on the side. Because the whole business aspect of running the actual construction business is a bit of a pain in the ass. I really prefer just to go in there and do really great work and go home versus all the admin stuff. I love customer service. I love dealing with the clients, but oh, that's awesome. That's pretty much how I started out. I was a full-time finish carpenter doing doors, windows, baseboard, crown molding. That's pretty much what I did full time. And then I went from doing that to pretty much marketing out on my own, doing my own little side projects, decks and stuff like that. And that's been doing pretty all right. But like as I get older, I want to do more fine woodworking and custom carpentry in general. So now I'm trying to work on how to market that end of my business more so than the general construction, kitchen remodel end of it. Which I do need to make a couple phone calls. So my phone is now down to like 30%. All right, boss man, you enjoy the rest of your day, and I'm glad that you were able to join in. I think I'm about calling it quits for right now anyway. My next step will actually be getting those out of the clamps and building the last two drawerbinet units and the doors. We'll probably end up doing that later this evening. I'm probably about to actually call the stream now. I'll make a few phone calls and then get back to this once all that dries up. So I do appreciate everybody who's been in here this whole entire time. If you guys have enjoyed, definitely like, subscribe, check out my other channels, and then I'll be seeing you guys in the next one. Peace.